Hey, welcome back to another video. This one's going to be a little bit different than most of my videos, mostly because of a frustrating situation that I kind of came upon while I was out on the stream today. And I want to give a little bit of context before I throw you into the clips, because I think it's important to know that this is a kind of localish, driftless stream to where I'm at, and it is pretty heavily fished, pretty popular overall by both fly fishermen and spin fishermen. In this video, I think you'll even see that this spot has a bench near it, so obviously people spend a lot of time there, and again, probably that weekend spot for a lot of anglers in general. I want to make this video though because I think it's important that some real life examples get shown as to why fish handling is so important. For a lot of guys, you know, a 20-inch brown trout or close to that is kind of the trophy fish of a lifetime. And for a pretty preventable death to happen like what you're going to see in these clips, I think it goes to say that we can probably educate a little bit better around proper fish handling techniques. And I want to do my part with this video to kind of do that same thing. The other part that I will say from a context standpoint, just so we don't get into the whole harvesting debate versus not harvesting or catch and release, this is Wisconsin's catch and release season happening right now. So there is no harvest, there is no kill on fish currently. So I think it's almost doubly important that we start talking about education during this time frame, because we now have a fish that potentially could have been harvested and is now instead at the bottom of a stream, you know, dying for how many days on, you know, until I happened upon it. So let me know your thoughts, you know, give me some comments in the section here as to what you think. But I think it's important that we spend a little bit of time showing some real life examples on how poor handling can affect trout and how fragile they actually can be. You know, the old myth of swam away fine is just something we have to kind of eliminate from a trout fishing perspective, because we have to have that in the back of our mind of knowing if we didn't handle it correctly, that mortality rate is extremely high. So watch the video, let me know what you think, leave some comments below, and hopefully you learn something as we watch these next few clips. Well, hopefully you get as frustrated by this type of stuff as me, but here is a great example as to why good trout handling matters. If you can see right in the river there, it's probably about a 16-inch brown trout dead sitting on top of, you know, a pretty unnatural place for them. And I can almost guarantee you that this died from probably bad handling or possibly, you know, a deep hook in its mouth. And, you know, the frustrating part to me is not 50 feet down the river, I found another brown trout dead laying in almost the exact same type of way at the bottom of the stream. So it tells me that somebody went through here and probably personally killed 2 trout because they didn't know how to handle the fish when they were fishing. Good fish handling matters, and if you're not aware of it, read up on it. You know, a lot of the biologists or scientists that I've heard, it's 15 seconds out of the water, and you know, as much as you can, avoid treble hooks. You know, if you're fishing with a spinner, try to go to 1 hook, or you know, if you're going with flies, you know, barbless, all that different stuff will help with the handling. But I think more than anything, it's that time out of water, and also not destroying their slime coat by throwing them up on the shore or anything like that. Hands should be wet. And on top of that, you know, you want to make sure you're not putting them onto ground or into mud or into dirt where it's going to rub that slime coat off, because that can also kill them. So I'm going to jump in the water and see if I can't maybe scoop them up with my net here just to see. But again, super frustrating. This guy's actually still alive. This trout is actually still alive. This is super strange. I mean, just the problem is, what a gorgeous fish. Oh, you know what? As I'm moving him here, and it looks like, I wonder if his slime coat got damaged. I really, again, I'm starting to think that this was bad handling. I wonder if somebody had him right here. I can kind of see there's like this slime moving. And again, the fins look almost starting to rot, especially this top one here looks like it's starting to rot. So it makes me think that it was maybe somebody dragged him up onto the, you know, onto the grass here, and he just didn't survive it after how much stress got put on him. Just really unfortunate. I mean, the colors on this guy are just absolutely beautiful. I mean, look at that gill plate. I just don't think there's any way I can revive this guy. I mean, like I said, you can see these little marks up near the top here. It almost makes me think that it was like a crankbait, and I wonder if that's where the crankbait hit him. But that wound is really fresh, so it had to have been from somebody catching him in the last couple days. And again, you can tell me if you think differently, but that sure looks like a hook that would go through there. Could be a heron, I guess, but there's about a 8-foot pool right in front of me here, and I can't imagine this guy, being as big as he is dumb enough to come somewhere where a heron could potentially get him. He's starting to move a little bit. I shouldn't even say move, he's just convulsing. And you'll see the second that I let go of him, he just falls right to the bottom. I don't know if there's much else I can do for him. So this bend right up over there is where I found that big brown dead. And I talked about that second trout that in the same area that had died. It's actually sitting right in here. So I'm gonna stick the camera underwater here so you can see it. But I just want you to show, 100 feet we've got 2 dead trout because of poor handling. Well, obviously it's a super frustrating situation for me, especially a fish of that size. I mean, in the Driftless region, a 19 to 20 inch brown trout is not something you're coming across in every stream. And so to see it just kind of, in my opinion, needlessly die due to what I'm assuming is bad handling, just based on, what looks like hook, a hook going through the top of its head. It looks like maybe the slime coat is rotten off. And if I'm wrong, leave comments, let me know. I would love to be educated more around it, but based on what I'm seeing, it looks like either the trout got stressed out too much, it got banked up on shore, the slime coat got ruined, or it was just out of water so long that it couldn't recover correctly and, now has no ability to recover correctly. And I know that this can be, a kind of a war within trout fishing if people really hammering people about handling fish correctly and people thinking that they're overreacting. But my hope is that, the death of this trout can maybe bring some light to just how fragile trout can actually be. Again, more often than not, I see people treat big trout almost worse because they go, wow, look how big that thing is, look how much it fought, and it can hold up through anything because of its size. A lot of times they could be even more in danger because they're exerting so much more energy just trying to throw that hook or get off your line. And so my hope is this is a learning lesson, that this trout doesn't just totally go to waste, and it does show some people that regardless of the size of trout, small or large, they're all affected heavily. And again, scientists and biologists will tell you time and time again that 15 seconds out of water is really all you want to try to limit trout to when you're handling them. If you're throwing spinners, you might want to think about taking that treble off and just going to one single hook, and all those things will help trout's survival rates and prevent situations like that from happening. The other part that I think is frustrating for me is this isn't even the first trout that I'm seeing dead in a 100-foot section of this river. Just across this bend over here, I found another about 7-inch brown trout dead in almost the exact same way on the bottom of the river. And so it tells me that in one day, one person probably ended up killing more than one trout just due to mishandling. And so while it doesn't seem serious, it doesn't seem like, hey, it's something that affects me or I'm not doing it right, I challenge everybody to just take a second, look up some of those best practices. Orvis has some really great resources. Tom's podcast, the Fly Fishing Podcast, has had tons of biologists on that talk about how to get your hero shots, how to take care of those trout. Really would recommend reading up on those, and hopefully we can prevent some really nice trout like this one from finding a similar fate.